So each month in Sax School, we set our members a challenge, and that's where we invite our members to really dig into a certain style or a certain artist or to learn a certain skill. And this month, September 2021, our challenge is all about bebop, understanding the bebop style and exploring some bebop artists as well. So today, I've got a special video for you, which is actually made by one of our Sax School's tutors, and that's Fred Vigdor. Now, when Fred's not teaching with Sax School, he's touring with the legendary band Average White Band. In fact, he's been playing with them for over 20 years, touring all around the world. He's an amazing teacher and he's an amazing saxophone player as well. So I've asked Fred to come in today to talk a little bit about why Charlie Parker is an artist that we all as saxophone players really need to understand. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you want to find out more about Sax School and get involved with the challenges, then go check us out. There's a link in the description down below. We've got a 14-day trial running as I'm filming this video. So that's a great way to explore the lessons and see if it's right for you. And also, you know, that's your opportunity to come and join the thousands of other members who are learning with Sax School every single day and also studying with tutors like Fred and the other guys who are on our tutor team at Sax School. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get started. Here's Fred. Enjoy the video.
If you're a saxophone player, you really need to know about Charlie Parker, also known as Bird. So in this video, I'm going to give you a quick intro to his amazing music and career and suggest some albums and tracks you might want to explore on your own. Plus, I've got a transcription for you of a classic Parker solo, Yardbird Suite, and we'll take a look at that today too. In Sax School this month, we're looking at bebop, and our members are learning an original challenge song in the style of Charlie Parker called Bird Bounces In. So, why do you need to know about Charlie Parker? Well, it's hard to overstate the impact he's had on jazz and the saxophone. He was truly a revolutionary. There are stories that people gave up music after hearing him play. Now, back in the 1940s and 50s, when big band swing was the popular music of the day, Charlie Parker was one of a small group of musicians who created something totally new, called bebop, and it blew people away. Oh, and in case you're wondering why he was called Bird, well, in the South, another name for chicken is Yardbird, and Parker really loved eating chicken. Yardbird was eventually shortened to Bird, and there you go. Charlie Parker was born in Kansas City, Missouri in 1920. And grew up across the river in Kansas City, Kansas during Prohibition. He began playing the saxophone at age 11. In his early teens, he would sneak into the local speakeasies to listen to Lester Young, Count Basie, and other jazz legends who were playing in those late-night jam sessions there. During the early 40s, he toured with Jay McShann's band, which is where he met his future collaborator, Dizzy Gillespie. Parker became a star soloist of McShann's nightly radio broadcasts from the Savoy in New York and attracted a legion of young musicians who crowded the stage to hear Parker play in person. Now, while 52nd Street clubs in New York were featuring big bands playing swing, at the after-hours clubs uptown in Harlem, Parker and Gillespie, along with Thelonious Monk, Kenny Clarke, and others, were experimenting with a new style of jazz, with blistering tempos and complex rhythms and harmonies. The musicians playing it just called it modern jazz, but it came to be known as bebop. A common practice in bebop was the use of contrafacts. These were new, intricate melodies over standard chord progressions. Since melodies can be copyrighted but not chord progressions, this allowed musicians to improvise over songs without obtaining permission from the original tune's publisher. Some notable examples of this are Parker's Ornithology, which is based on the chord changes to How High the Moon, Scrapple from the Apple, which was Honeysuckle Rose, and dozens, maybe hundreds of heads written over the chord changes to I Got Rhythm. Of course, not everyone liked this new style of music being played by Bird and his bebop stablemates. Louis Armstrong called it Chinese music, which I guess tells us that it sounded incomprehensible to him. So, if you're new to Charlie Parker and looking for an album to start with, then Yardbird Suite is a really good entry point. It's one of the best compilations of tracks from many of the different record labels that Bird recorded for, and contains some of his best-known work, like Now's the Time, Confirmation, Moose the Mooch, and of course the title track, Yardbird Suite, which is a classic Bird composition with a great solo and a textbook example of Parker's style. We'll be looking at this solo in more detail in a moment, so stick around. Another classic album is Jazz at Massey Hall, which is an all-star live concert from 1953 featuring Parker and Gillespie, Charlie Mingus, Bud Powell, and Max Roach. That was dubbed the greatest jazz concert ever. This recording is also notable because Parker, who was credited on the album as Charlie Chan due to contract issues, played the concert using a Grafton plastic saxophone after pawning his King Super 20 alto before the gig. Another great tune to check out is Coco, with some difficult chord changes navigated at a breakneck tempo. This was Bird's first record as a leader, and it's based on the chord changes to Cherokee, another jazz standard. On this track, you can hear another bebop legend, Dizzy Gillespie, switching back and forth between trumpet and piano. I'd also really recommend you check out Just Friends from the album Charlie Parker with Strings, which features Bird's great ballad playing with some incredibly fluid lines. Another one to check out is Parker's Mood, a slow blues. That's included on the Yardbird Suite album, and it's a classic example of Bird's blues mastery. So we've already covered a load of great Charlie Parker recordings there, but I'd love to know, what is your favorite Bird track? Do you go for the crazy speed or the slow bluesy playing? Let me know with a comment below. In many ways, Charlie Parker was a troubled genius. When people talk about his life, they often focus on his heroin addiction, and he was certainly a chaotic character. The famous New York jazz club Birdland was named in his honor, and he headlined there on its opening night, but later he was banned from the club because of his heavy drinking and troublemaking. Tragically, Bird died at the age of just 34. He had lived such a hard life that the doctor examining his body after his death estimated his age to be 55. It seems incredible that he had such a huge impact on music in such a short career. Who knows what he would have accomplished if he had lived longer? Charlie Parker was a massive influence on legends like Phil Woods, Sonny Stitt, and just about every other living alto saxophone player. In fact, the great Charles Mingus wrote a tune that sums it up, entitled, "If Charlie Parker was a gunslinger, there'd be a whole lot of dead copycats." Now let's look more closely at one of Charlie Parker's iconic solos. This is from Yardbird Suite. One of the essential elements of Bird's style and bebop in general is the use of what is called ornamentation. That means taking a simple melodic line and embellishing the target notes from above and below using 16th notes or 16th note triplets. Let's take a look at his opening line to get a look at what I mean. Here's the line. Now here's the same line without the ornamentation. It sounds great and makes sense, but you can hear how much more intricate it sounds with the ornamentation. So you see, while it looks like a super complex solo, if you break it down into its basic elements, it becomes much simpler. And it demonstrates why it's so important to really be familiar with the chord structure. Using the chords to help us find the right notes for our solos is one of the tactics we talk about a lot in improvising courses inside Sax School. If this video has inspired you to learn more about Charlie Parker and to maybe try playing in his style yourself, check out Bird Bounces In, our original Bird-inspired tune inside Sax School. It includes a slower, easier version for beginners and a Parker-style faster version if you fancy a challenge. Learning about great players like Charlie Parker will really help you develop as a saxophone player yourself. So I hope this video has inspired you to check out more of his music. And while you're here, check out some of the other videos on our channel on improvising, other great players you should know about, and more. Thanks for watching. Keep practicing.